Okay, part two, let's crack on. So in this episode, I'll be putting the knock-on trim on and kind of showing what you have to do in order to get the knock-on trim to sit on the aperture nice, because if you just come close here, you've got these bulges with the double skin, so all these clips have got to come off, and these clips, what used to hold this panel on, obviously we can address that. That is an issue in itself, but not this part. And then we've got to close the gap just so we can get the knock-on trim on, and the same here as well. We've got to close these down, just make them as tight as to the outer skin as possible. And then down, I think there's a few, no, that's all good. So we've got to do that first. So there's a little bit of prep work before we can just knock on the trim. So if you look over here, this is the organised knock-on trim section. So this is the trim that I use. I did kind of try a few different sizes. There was a smaller one which did look better, but I couldn't get it on the aperture of the car without it bulging, and it would have just fell off over time. But this one is a little bit beefier, but you're going to get a better, hang on, let me find the end. You're going to get a better seal. So basically that bit there knocks onto the channel, and then your glass butts up against there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. So I've just got to find the better end. Yeah. So basically I'm just going to kind of cut myself some off. There is metal in it as well, so you just got to try and cut through that. Don't worry that if it looks a bit untidy, because we can straighten all that up. It just makes it easier to have that much as opposed to all that. So what we'll do, just cut the same for the other side. Like that. So those are the trims that we'll need. And then the rest I can put back in a nice, orderly, neat pile. Right, what do I need now? So I need a pair of pliers. Got to take these clips out, so we'll stick them to one side. Right, I'm just going to grab myself a pair of pliers. Or a few. Because what we're going to do, we're going to just try and squeeze the two skins together. And then that way it just makes it easier to get this knock-on trim over the metal. You see that? We just basically, hang on, let's just clean them up. We're just going to kind of just basically get the two skins as tight as we can, like that. And then the same here. It's always nerve-wracking, which is why I don't suggest you try this at home. But with a bit of common sense, saying that, with a bit of common sense you probably wouldn't do this, but that's modified life. So we've pinched the skins so they're closer together. Don't think there's anything up there, not down there. So yeah, it's just across the bottom and halfway up the side. So from there downwards. So once we've done that, we can apply the knock-on trim. But before we do that, I just want to get a nice straight edge. See, that's what you're up against. Ow. Just give it a wiggle. Wiggle it, just... and there you go. So that's, I mean, you're never going to get it precision perfect, but oh, bless you. So yeah, so we've got one side. Obviously the spongy bit has got to be on the outside, not on the inside, otherwise it ain't gonna butt up to anything. So what we'll do, we'll start in the middle, and I'm putting the join this side purely for the fact that you're never going to see this bit of the rubber, because the glass is always going to be butted up against it. You don't want the join there, because if it weathers, it kind of shrinks, and then you know you're going to see gaps. So we'll start this side. So we'll get it on, and what we'll do is we'll get it on the aperture as best as we can, and then we can go around with a bit of a rubber mallet and just make sure it's properly on. And just make sure you get it right in that corner. Don't worry about, because obviously it's folded ever so slightly, but that's fine. God, my hands are so sweaty. And then just nice and steady. And again, this is why we flattened those two pieces of metal together, because you haven't got much room in that groove there on the rubber. So it just makes life a bit easier to get it on. And then it's the corners that you've got to get right in that corner there. Luckily I've got big fingers. Or is that unlucky? Right, we'll sort that out after. So what we'll do is, obviously got a bit of an excess, which is fine, because we'll cut that away. Oh. And then what we'll do, we'll just take that one off, slot that one on, just make sure there we go. Right, let me go and get my rubber mallet. One rubber mallet. So what we're going to do now is, you see where it's all a bit wavy? Whoa, whoa. We're just going to basically try and straighten that as best as we can. All right. It's not technical. But look at that. See how you can manipulate the rubber? So it's almost like facing slightly up. So that will give you a better seal to the glass. So that is ready for the glass to go on. But before we do that, I need to make the brackets, and the brackets are going to be riv nutted into the side here, and then the motor then is bolted to that bracket. And then if you just come over, Laura, and then obviously once that's, the trim should just kind of sit like that. So my thinking, again, obviously because I can't use these clips now, because the clips that sit into this channel here, obviously the rear quarter kind of sits onto that. Obviously I can't use that option now. So my thinking is to bond some heavy duty magnets, and then just basically it will just clip to the side of the car. Okay, you join me the other side of the unit. This is the bracket that I make. That's going to house the electric motor. So obviously this is one I've cut out before, so I use this as the pattern. So just line those two holes up like so, and again just draw around it, and then we'll exactly the same on the other side. Get that nice and squared up. So there we go. And then what I'll do is I'll just get a bit of tape, just so I can, because I've got an angle grind that off. So what we can do, just to help follow the line, so basically that is our shape. There you go. So we need that bit. That bit can go in the bin. I'll just go and get my angle grinder. Cut the shape of these brackets. Now I will say one thing, if you're going to do this, think safety. So you need to put my gloves on. Although I can't see these gloves stopping anything, but so you get your gloves on. And then my Darth Vader mask, which I can't see shit out of because there's that much dust and scratch on it, but just let me know if it's getting to you. Yeah. there, whew, is one precision cut bracket. So we just put that to one side, and then we'll do the same on this one. Right, that's 2 done. So obviously, I'll show you on this one, it's not so hot. So obviously you've got all the burrs there, so we'll just tidy this up, just give those a bit of a rounded corner, just take the sharpness away from it really. So to do that, let's unplug this out of the way. We'll just stick that over here for now. We don't need the helmet because I already am one. And then basically it's just a file, and what we're going to do now and there you have it. Doesn't it look amazing? So I'll just do this one. Okay, done. Right, I'll keep that out. Next thing, I'm going to get the motors. We're going to line up the holes, and then we just need to get the holes drilled in these brackets. Ta-da! So these are the motors that I use. So that's going to go like that, because that space there is going to be riv nutted to the inside of the car. So this is facing inside the car. So this is your window. So we'll bolt that to the car, and then I'll mark that, and then we can then bolt this motor to that bracket. That is how it's going to sit, and then that then operates, and that just goes forward and back. So I think that's in its home position at the moment. Whew. Right. What I'm going to do is I've just placed the 2 brackets on top of each other. God, sweaty. And again, this isn't, oh, I've got a measurement for this and I got a measurement for that. Yes, you kind of need an understanding of how it's all going to go, but as long so these 2 holes here that I'm going to make are the fixing points that is going to fix this bracket to the car. So what we'll do is we'll carefully put them in the vise. Like so. And then I'll just get some drill bits. Okay. And then what I'll do now.
That hot?
Oh God, yeah. is I'm just going to get the cone cutter and it'll just kind of like neaten up the hole. Just takes the burr off, see? Oh, there's before. See how it's just a bit neater? Okay, so yeah, so like I said, that is now going to bolt. Yeah, shall I show you? Follow me. So there's your bracket, and that is going to be then bolted onto the car like that. And then what we'll do then is we'll then bolt the motor to this part of the bracket, and that's what holds it on. So we're just going to mark see, like that. And then what we're going to do, we just mark the centre and the centre there. And then what we can do is if we just mark that down there, then we can cut that excess off as well. There's our brackets, and then we should have, I think we ordered, there we are. These are the riv nuts. Like so. So anyone that's a bit unfamiliar with the riv nut, obviously you drill, I think it's a 9mm hole on this one, put that into the hole, clamp this down, and what it does, it kind of squeezes this back end here towards the hole that you've drilled and kind of clamps it into place. And then obviously you've got a natural thread inside, so then you can then, so that'll sit behind. Just imagine that's already in the metalwork of the car, and then you get your nut or your bolt and then basically just bolt it through. They do sound good, don't they? Okay, so what we'll do now, just to give ourselves a bit of space, just move these front seats out the way. Basically we're just putting this down just to stop any of the swarf going everywhere. You see it? It's So I'm just marking the and then if we do the same the other side, there is a hole in there. So if I put the tape in there, if I go to the top marker, we're at 26.5. Should be a hole this side. Yeah, there's a hole there. Oh. 26.5. See? There is some method in the madness. Right, so what we've got to do now, we've got to, again, just, now this, we've got to be really careful here. So we've got to drill the 2 holes there, and then we just got to put the riv nuts in. And again, just double check that there is this is all your wiring loom. I don't think they run anything in here. So we just drill in there, put the 2 riv nuts in, and then we can then bolt the brackets on. But before we do bolt the brackets on, I'm just going to kind of paint all the edges. Right, let me go and get the drill. So what we'll do now, so that's a 9mm, and that it will go in. Perfect. And then we'll just repeat the process on the other side. So before we put them in, let's just have another little tidy up, just get these stuff out of the way. And then I'm just going to get some black primer just to cover the drill holes that we've done. So we'll just mark those up there with some primer. Same the other side. So get it in the hole like so. Give it a squeeze. Tighten it back down again. And then wind it back out. And there is your thread. I know people have been using them for years, but let's just paint these up. Again, you're not really going to see them once they're all covered, but let's get them on. Same there. That's that. There we go. So what I will do, we'll bolt these on now, but then I will I will take them back off because I just want to put a bit of Loctite on them just so they don't come loose. So I'll do that. But for now, we'll get them on, and then that will take us into part 3, is when we're lining up the window. Because what I've got to do, obviously you've got the bracket that I've got to make, which then bonds to the inside of the glass, but I've also got to black out the glass as well. One in there, one in there like that. Now I did oversize the holes a little bit just to kind of give me that bit of movement, which is, you don't need a lot, but it's enough to make a difference. So we'll just kind of just hand tight those up for now. So that'll be fine. I'll do the same the other side. That's that like that. And again, some of you may be thinking, oh, you forgot to cut that off. I have, but I've just remembered. So I will do that after. Right. So what we'll do, nut through the bolt, not on the back. And there you have it. That is how it's going to sit. And then we'll do the same the other side. So just putting the last nut on. And there you have it. So it was by fluke, but we need to forget about this bit because obviously I can't drill a hole in the glass, so we'll get rid of that bit. But if you think about it, the glass is it's not, oh, what am I trying to say here? Basically the glass is going to sit obviously on against that rubber, but there's still going to be a bit of a gap from that bit to the glass, which is kind of what you want, because if this was poking out too much, then you're not able to like pull the glass all the way in and make a good tight seal. So you need to obviously allow that. Plus, when I manufacture the thread, which is going to be bonded to the inside of the glass, that will go through here, and then we'll nut and bolt it, and then we'll be able to use the nut and bolt on both sides to slide this up and down there, and that will give you that option to kind of, do I tighten a bit more, do I make the glass a little bit looser? So there is a bit of method there. But that is all you're getting for part 2. If you haven't fell asleep yet and you are still interested in this video, please give it a like and a subscribe, because I haven't got that many subscribers. And plus you get to see what happens in part 3. See you next time.